So today we'll continue our discussions about aminoglycosides. So yesterday I told you how aminoglycosides work, the mechanism of action wherein they will bind to 30S ribosomes irreversibly and they will inhibit protein synthesis, leading to death of the bacteria. Okay, these are bactericidal agents. Now, aminoglycosides are used in combination with penicillins. Okay, for synergy. If you remember, I told you penicillins when we were discussing about penicillins, there is a topic called synergy wherein if you give one drug with the other, you will get effects more than the combined strength of both of them. In the sense that, let's suppose there is penicillin, one penicillin, which is giving the effect equal to 100%. Okay, and there is one aminoglycoside. So this is penicillin, this is aminoglycoside. If you give only aminoglycoside, you get 100%. If you give this plus this, you get more than 200%. You get generally 3 to 400%. Okay, so anyway, you get more than 200%. This is synergy. This is because aminoglycoside will help penicillin and penicillin will help aminoglycoside, especially penicillin. Because see, if aminoglycoside wants to come inside a bacteria, it has to pass through the cell membrane. If you remember, penicillins work by disintegrating the cell membrane. They will destroy proteoglycans, because of which what you call cell membrane will be digested and cell membrane will be destroyed. Now, if cell membrane is destroyed, aminoglycosides can enter easily. Okay, even if it is not completely destroyed, there will be big holes created. So let's suppose, uh, one second. So let's suppose ऐसे holes create हो रहे हैं in the structure of the bacteria. ठीक है? From this, aminoglycoside can enter very easily and combine with the ribosome irreversibly, leading to death of the bacteria. Okay. Now, whenever you are giving aminoglycosides and penicillins in synergy, another advantage is that, see, in any case, whenever any drugs, two drugs are given together for synergy, the hope is that you can decrease the incidence of adverse effects, because you're decreasing dose. Essentially, you're decreasing the chance of adverse effects and you're increasing the efficacy of the drug. Okay, so it is a win-win situation in either cases. Now, in some cases resistance can develop to aminoglycosides. Okay, those cases will be, so let's write it here, one second. Right, resistance may develop if, first case, if aminoglycoside inactivating enzymes is present by the cell. So we have discussed about beta lactamases and penicillinase, right? Some bacteria have the capability of secreting penicillinase, which can destroy penicillin, or beta lactamase, which also can destroy penicillins, beta lactams as such. So like that, there can be a few enzymes produced by certain bacteria that can destroy aminoglycoside. So those are aminoglycoside inactivating enzyme. If bacteria can make or secrete aminoglycoside inactivating enzyme. Okay, that is one case where resistance can develop. The aminoglycoside simply will not work in such bacteria. Okay, second way is decreased binding of aminoglycosides. Decreased binding of aminoglycosides to ribosome or with ribosome. Okay. Then third way is decrease in permeability. If the bacterial cell membrane is particularly tough, your aminoglycoside will not be able to enter that bacteria. If it is not able to enter the bacteria, there will be no effect from aminoglycosides. So these are the three mechanisms through which aminoglycosides, resistance to aminoglycosides can develop. Generally happens in newer bacteria, okay, newer strains and resistant kind of strains. Now, as such, coming to PK of the drug, pharmacokinetics, these drugs are not absorbed orally. As I told you already, these cannot be absorbed through gut. They are generally, what they do is they will install, or you will apply them in body cavities. You get powder as well, or you generally apply them in body cavities. You can apply them over large wounds topically. Okay, so do not get absorbed orally because they get ionized. If the drug gets ionized, it cannot be absorbed. Okay, any drug for it to get absorbed, it needs to be in non-ionized, non-polar form. All right, it should not have a charge. Basically, if it has a charge, it cannot come in. So this is applied over large wounds. Okay, you can also apply it in cavities. From that place, it can get absorbed rather quickly. Okay, if you give intramuscular after IM, uh, peak concentration in blood is seen within 60 minutes. So it acts relatively quickly. As soon as you give IM, within 1 hour, you will start seeing the effect of aminoglycosides. Not usable in emergencies, but it is still fairly good in what you call its concentration. It will achieve within 60 minutes. Whether you can expect the effects to come very quickly. Now, this drug will not be bound by plasma proteins at all, and it will not cross any barriers, neither will it enter any cell. So this fellow will only remain in blood vessels. Drug remains in blood vessels only before getting excreted. Okay. Now, as such, because it is getting excreted on before what you call without entering any tissues and this thing, one place where you can use aminoglycosides will be sepsis. Okay, if a patient has blood infection, now generally what happens is with drugs, once you give the drug, it will get absorbed, it will enter your systemic circulation, distribution, or from there it is getting metabolized and all of that. Let's suppose you have a drug which is not getting absorbed properly and it is only staying in your blood vessels. If you give IM or you give IV, you are skipping the stage of absorption. Okay, you are directly going to distribution. We've already discussed this. Now, in case of aminoglycosides, when you're giving it in blood vessels, IM or IV, in that case, it is not able to penetrate tissues directly. So, kya ho raha? It will stay in blood vessels. Because of that, you can treat bloodborne infections. You can treat in sepsis and septic conditions. Okay, यहाँ पर normal antibiotics might not work as such because normal antibiotics क्या करते हैं, if or normal drugs as well, if it is entering into your blood, it will get absorbed by tissues. It will go into liver, it will go into different parts of your body. Okay, it will not stay in blood vessel for a long period of time. Whereas aminoglycosides stay only in blood vessel before they are getting excreted. They will not enter tissue. Okay, they will not cross any barriers also. That is why it is very advantageous. You can use it smartly in this sense. Okay, coming to adverse effects. So as I was telling you yesterday, there are some very important adverse effects related to aminoglycosides. The two more important ones, most important ones will be ototoxicity and nephrotoxicity. Toxicity. Okay. In some cases, it will also cause neuromuscular blockage. Neuromuscular blockage. Right. Now, ototoxicity कैसा होती है? This is dose and duration of treatment related, meaning the higher the dose, the longer the dose that you give. Generally speaking, even if aminoglycosides have a low T half, they will have post-antibiotic effect, wherein the effect of that antibiotic will stay even after serum concentration has decreased. I told you yesterday why. Because bacterial number, which is minimum required for infection to occur, that is not, so let's suppose 10,000 bacteria required for infection to occur, and the patient is presenting with the infection and coming to the hospital with 50,000 bacteria. You give aminoglycosides here and this number is coming back to 5,000, let's suppose. Okay, first dose of aminoglycoside, it is coming down to 5,000. 5,000 cannot mount a response. It cannot cause an infection. Neither can it maintain the infection. Okay, you need minimum of 10,000. I'm giving some X example. Okay, some X bacteria which needs 10,000 copies of itself to cause infection and maintain infection. In that, aminoglycoside is killing most of them and only 5,000 remain. Because of that, it will take this bacteria some time to divide back again up to 10,000, then cause infection or then maintain or start showing any symptoms as such. That is post-antibiotic effect. Even if you give antibiotic after the serum levels of the antibiotic has decreased, at one point of time, T half khatam hone ke baad, it will completely get eliminated. But because the number of bacteria that are decreasing sharply, because that leads to post antibiotic effect, okay, wherein it will take some time for bacteria to divide again and reach back to its peak. Generally at that point of time you will give another dose, further decreasing the number of bacteria. In any case, यहाँ पर ototoxicity क्या होता, specifically your cochlear cells, they will start getting degenerated, they will start getting damaged because of aminoglycosides, and cochlear cells cannot be regenerated. Once they are damaged, they are gone forever. This can lead to permanent vestibular damage, ठीक है, vestibular cochlear damage, and auditory nerve gets degenerated as well, especially in case of elderly people. Elderly people are at a very high risk of developing or deafness because of aminoglycosides, so be very careful with that. And as it also affects your vestibular function, the function of your balance, it will lead to headache, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, okay. The patient will have vertigo, the patient might also show nystagmus, okay, and ataxia. Ataxia is they are not able to coordinate their movements properly, okay. Now the other symptoms that I told you, headache, nausea and all of them, they might decrease if you stop the drug, okay, within a few days, within around 2 weeks they will subside. But once the patient develops ataxia, it will take 1 or 2 years for them to come back to normal, okay. That is one of the most serious effects of aminoglycosides. That is why it is generally avoided in elderly patients. The more older they are, the higher their risk of vestibular and cochlear damage, especially cochlear damage. Agar vestibular damage hua to the severe form will present as ataxia. There will be lack of coordination of movement, they will not be able to walk properly and all of that, okay. They'll fall down, they'll not, all of that will happen, okay. Now coming to nephrotoxicity, there is a high concentration of aminoglycoside that gets accumulated in renal tubules, okay. Now as such, if it is getting accumulated in renal tubules, it will cause tubular damage. But as the drug starts getting excreted, the damage will the damage will be reversible. Let's suppose at that point of time excretion of, or your renal function becomes so low. Let's suppose a patient already has renal insufficiency, the patient's kidneys are not working properly, okay. I am talking normally in a healthy individual, it is fine. If you give aminoglycosides, there'll be a little bit of tubular damage, but it will be reversible. Okay, once the drug is gone, the damage will be abated. But if you give it in a patient who has renal insufficiency, or if whose kidneys are not working properly, वो patients में क्या होता, there is extensive damage to their kidneys, and because aminoglycoside is relying on your kidneys for excretion, now excretion will not happen properly. Ab kidney hai, let's suppose kidney is already busted, it is damaged. Aminoglycoside is coming to kidney hoping that it will get excreted. Now aminoglycoside itself can cause kidney damage, which will lead to further decrease in excretion. Agar excretion nahi hua drug ka, it will stay in your blood for a longer period of time, meaning serum concentration of aminoglycoside will increase and the T halves will increase. Okay, the half-life of the drug will increase because it is not being excreted. That can in turn cause ototoxicity, because higher concentration is present for a longer period of time. It can lead to ototoxicity. So these both are kind of related. Agar nephrotoxicity hui, to it can cause ototoxicity because of accumulation. Okay. Then lastly, about neuromuscular blockage, aminoglycosides have been told to block acetylcholine, okay, release of acetylcholine from motor nerve endings. So it can lead to some muscular problems where muscles will not be able to contract properly and all. Okay, it will basically block acetylcholine. Cholinergic receptors को affect करता है ये, causing decrease in the release of acetylcholine. Now, as such, some preventions that you need to take whenever you are giving precautions that you need to take when you are giving aminoglycosides, do not mix it with other drugs, okay. Especially in I'm not sure आप लोगों को whether you've seen this or not, but have you ever used white tubes? Generally क्या करते हैं, दो saline के packages रखते हैं, you use a white tube and you connect this to a patient. Okay, this will have drug number 1, this will have drug number 2. Sometimes you can give multiple drugs in the same saline solution if they are compatible. That is a different topic altogether, but compatibility and all. But in any case, aminoglycosides is one such drug that you should not combine like this. If you are giving aminoglycoside, give only aminoglycoside as such. एक saline bottle में दो, अमाइनोग्लाइकोसाइड ही चढ़ाओ एक साथ, ठीक है, डू नॉट कंबाइन इट विथ अदर ड्रग्स. Though you can give it with penicillins, see, the thing is that you are not giving it together with penicillins, in the sense that not in the same bag. You can give what you call one injection of penicillin or an oral tablet of penicillin, and you can give aminoglycoside injection, but not together. Okay, not in the same vial, not in the same bag. ठीक है, वैसा करे तो the what you call efficacy of aminoglycoside will sharply decrease. It will not work properly, especially gentamicin. Okay, avoid this with, obviously avoid this with other ototoxic drugs. Other ototoxic drugs include loop diuretics and what do you call minocycline. Minocycline is a tetracycline. We'll discuss about that in this class. The next topic is broad spectrum antibiotics, जिसमें पढ़ते हैं अपन. You have to avoid this with other nephrotoxic drugs as well. Your AC inhibitors, ARBs, cephalosporins, specifically cephalotin, cisplatin, cyclosporin, beta blockers, all of these are nephrotoxic drugs. Avoid giving aminoglycosides with these drugs, and monitor renal function. Okay, especially if you are giving it in elderly, monitor their hearing function and monitor their renal function. Okay, these drugs are completely contraindicated in case of women, pregnant women especially. Okay, because it can lead to deafness in children. So some common contraindications will be contraindications. Avoid in pregnant women because it will lead to deafness in the child. Okay, one second. Right. Other than that, avoid with ototoxic and nephrotoxic drug. Okay. Also, if you are giving it in elderly patients, make sure you monitor their renal function and you monitor their hearing function. Okay. Generally, avoid giving it in those patients, but if you don't have any other choice, please make sure that you monitor their renal function. Do not give them in renal failure. Do not use in renal failure or renal insufficiency. Okay. It will wreak havoc. Now, as such, there are 2-3 important drugs in this thing, aminoglycosides. Now, first of all, streptomycin. Now, streptomycin is a drug that can also be used in TB. Okay, second line, third line treatment में आता है. Second line treatment especially. Second line treatment का मतलब क्या? You have TB drugs as well. TB का treatment will occur in different phases, in the sense that there will be first line drugs which will include 4 drugs. Okay, let's suppose these 4 drugs are not working, then second line treatment will come, which will in turn have 4 drugs. Then third line treatment will come. If second line and first line are not working, then third line use karte. Okay, think of them as line of defense. If the first line is not working, second line will be used. If second line is not working, third line will be used. Okay. Now, streptomycin is a second line TB treatment. It can be used for subacute endocarditis, subacute bacterial endocarditis. So it can be used in TB. It can be used in subacute bacterial endocarditis. It can be used in plague, Yersinia pestis infection, or it can be used in tularemia. Okay, it can also be used in brucellosis. Now, streptomycin is the lowest nephrotoxic drug out of all of aminoglycosides. So this is the safest to use in case of elderly. If you are suspecting that it will cause nephrotoxicity, this is the safest out of them amongst all the antibiotics, amongst all the aminoglycosides. Sorry. Normally, you give 1 gram of streptomycin 2 times a day, intramuscular injection. You can give it for 7 to 10 days. Okay. Then we have gentamicin. Gentamicin is generally used for uncomplicated UTI. Gentamicin. This is used for uncomplicated UTI. You can use it in pneumonia. You can also use it in osteomyelitis. Okay. Now, as such, newer aminoglycosides are slightly better at such osteomyelitis and septicemia and meningitis, things like that. Especially gentamicin can be used in meningitis because of gram-negative bacteria, something like E. coli. Okay, E. coli will cause meningitis in children, okay, neonates especially. उन लोगों के अंदर you can give this, very helpful, gentamicin. Now, as such, you will also get certain eye drops of gentamicin, okay, for infection, especially for bacterial conjunctivitis. You can give. You have to decrease the dose of gentamicin in case of nephrotoxicity. Decrease dose in case of renal insufficiency, or if you suspect that it can cause nephrotoxicity. Jab. Tobramycin is anti-pseudomonal. Kanamycin is specifically used in case of MDR TB. If multi-drug resistant TB hai, then you can use kanamycin. That comes in the third line of defense. Okay? Amikacin is another drug that comes in aminoglycosides. That is the widest spectrum amongst aminoglycosides. Covers a lot of things. Okay? So tobramycin, kanamycin, and amikacin. So that is about our aminoglycosides. Now coming to broad spectrum antibiotics. If you have doubts, please let me know regarding aminoglycosides. If you want me to repeat anything or anything that you didn't understand, I can easily get it back. Hitech karna hai. No doubts? Okay. Now coming to broad spectrum antibiotics. Broad spectrum antibiotics में primary drug जो आता, those are tetracyclines. Okay. You will also have chloramphenicol and tigecycline. We'll discuss about that as well. But first we'll we'll talk about tetracyclines. Now tetracyclines will also affect your ribosomes. Okay, they will affect the 30th ribosomal subunit, but these are bacteriostatic agents. They will not kill the bacteria. They will only stop uh, protein synthesis temporarily. Okay, as soon as the dose of tetracycline decreases or the serum concentration of tetracycline decreases below therapeutic dose, bacteria will start dividing again. Okay? So the mechanism of action of tetracyclines is that it will bind to a site of 30th ribosome. Okay? If you remember, your ribosome has a site, a P site, and an E site. Okay? Where your tRNA comes and attaches will be the A site. वहाँ पर attach होके it will leave the amino acid. The amino acid will pass to the P site, peptidyl site. A site is amino acid site. If you remember, last year पढ़े थे अपन. ठीक है? Imagine this is your ribosome, and you will have 3 sites like this. ठीक है, यहाँ पर आके आपका tRNA अटैच होता, समथिंग लाइक दिस, एंड इट विल कैरी एन अमाइनो एसिड विथ इट. ठीक है, दिस इज द ए साइट, दिस इज द पी साइट, एंड दिस इज द ई साइट. ये टेट्रासाइक्लिन क्या करता, it will come and attach to 30S ribosome, the smaller subunit, and it will block this A site. Okay? It will block this A site from here. Because of that, what will happen is tRNA will not be able to come and bind to the A site. Hence, protein synthesis is stopped or prevented. At least still the drug is present in the patient's body. Okay? Because of this, prevents binding of tRNA to A site. Okay. tRNA generally binds to A site, then this amino acid will be passed on to this whole thing will pass to the left. Okay, as the ribosome is going towards right, protein synthesis last year अपन पढ़े थे biochemistry में. This tRNA will move to the left, whereas the ribosome is moving towards the right, trying to read the mRNA chain. ठीक है, तीन codons को read करता ना. So as this fellow moves on the left, this has tRNA here and amino acid here. This will be amino acid 1, this will be amino acid 2, where another tRNA comes and attaches to this site. Ultimately, what happens is a bond is formed, transpeptidation occurs, wherein this amino acid will go and form a chain in between here. So I'll use a different color here. Amino acid 2 now. There will be a peptide bond formed between A1 and A2 as a green color ka. And after that, what will happen is this bond will break between amino acid 1 and tRNA 1. And ultimately what happens is this tRNA will enter E site, it is exit site. So this fella will come here and it will get chucked out. Okay? Wherein it can go and bind to another A1, so that if ever that codon gets repeated again, A1 will come and attach again. Okay? Now the next drug that we'll discuss about, chloramphenicol, that affects there. Okay, that is why I explained that, re-explained that again. Now, coming back to tetracyclines, this cell will come and bind to A site as I told you, preventing attachment of tRNA. Because of this, protein synthesis is prevented. ये mechanism of action समझ में आया तुम लोगों को? I'll repeat once again. There is A site in your ribosome, ठीक है? Bacterial ribosome. यहाँ पर what this drug is doing is that tetracycline, this fellow will come and attach to this shorter end of the ribosome, the 30s unit. ठीक है? Whenever it attaches to this 30th unit, it is reversible. ठीक है? As soon as the drug concentration is lowered, the drug will detach from that ribosomal subunit. But whenever it is attached, what it will do is it will stop the binding of tRNA1. So let's suppose this is T1. Okay, it will stop the binding of tRNA1, which is carrying amino acid with it, to A site of the ribosome. If there is no binding of tRNA to A site, protein synthesis cannot progress anymore. But as soon as the drug concentration decreases and there is no drug, protein synthesis will be restarted or reinitiated. Okay? That is why it is only a bacteriostatic drug rather than bactericidal drug. It will not kill the bacteria, it will only stop the bacteria from synthesizing proteins for a short period of time. Okay. Now, these are called broad spectrum because they cover a lot of bacteria. Specifically, this fellow will have gram positive, gram negative, aerobes. Okay, anaerobes ke liye you'll have to use tetracycline. It's a advanced form of tetracycline, newer tetracycline. So in any case, it will cover Haemophilus influenza. It will cover gonococci. It can cover Shigella, Bordetella, Brucella, Meningococci, Streptococci, Staphylococci. Though broad spectrum antibiotics are not used as much for strep and staph, it can cover them. Okay, but newer variants of strep and staph have developed resistance to it. That is why it is not used a lot nowadays against strep and staph, at least Staphylococci and Streptococci. You can use it in case of Clostridium, E. coli infection. Okay, anaerobic bacteria are resistant. It will broad spectrum antibiotics, specifically tetracyclines. Anaerobic bacteria are resistant to tetracyclines. Okay. You can use TG in that sense, but if we talk about the classification of tetracyclines, now there are older tetracyclines, there is semi-synthetic derivatives of those older tetracyclines, and they are newer tetracyclines. So you will have two classes based on the origin. So the older ones will include tetracycline. Tetracycline itself is the drug. Okay. You will have oxytetracycline, and you have chlorotetracycline. In any case, do bas hai. These are older ones. Okay. The newer ones will include doxycycline, cycline. We have minocycline. Then there is metacycline. Okay. These are semi-synthetic forms, which are synthesized from tetracyclines. So semi-synthetic forms. Okay. Then there is newer agents. Tigecycline. Okay. Now, mechanism of action will remain the same for all of these. Same class now, the mechanism of action will be the same. Now, specifically when we talk about these two, ये दोनों के बारे में, let's suppose we talk about the PK. ठीक है, pharmacokinetics. Now, older tetracyclines are incompletely absorbed from gut. Okay, because food will interfere with the absorption. Whenever older tetracyclines are given, let's suppose you are giving tetracycline, oxytetracycline, or chlorotetracycline, make sure that you have a considerable gap in between food and giving the drug. So do not give older tetracyclines. One second. Tetracyclines with food. Food will interfere with its absorption, but the newer ones doxycycline and minocycline, they will get completely absorbed with food, no problem at all. You can give doxycycline and minocycline with minocycline derivatives as well. Tigecycline is technically a derivative of minocycline. Okay? Tg is a derivative of mino. So in any case, Tg and mino, both of doxy and mino, these can be given with food. Generally speaking, newer and synthetic forms of tetracyclines do not have the same problem with food. Now, the problem with food was that it used to chelate, it used to make complexes. Whenever these complexes are formed, tetracycline will stop working properly, especially if you are giving it with milk. Okay, any tetracycline for that matter, if you give it with milk or if you give it with iron preparations, okay, iron supplements or folate supplements or things like that, or if you give it with antacids, what will happen is it will chelate with calcium, the calcium that is present in the milk, or it will chelate with the iron present in the supplements. Antacids ka kya hai? Whenever you give antacid, it will stop the absorption of iron, because of which the total concentration of iron will increase in your stomach, and tetracyclines will complex with that, making sure that vertical absorption is sharply decreased and tetracycline will not be able to work properly. That is why avoid giving, or do not give, actually it will be completely useless. Do not give tetracyclines with milk. You cannot give it with iron preparations. Anemic patients को जो iron preparations देते उसके साथ नहीं देना, or at least you have to space it out 2 to 3 hours later you have to give this. ठीक है, tetracycline and antacids. ठीक है, any of these you cannot give. Now, as such, tetracyclines get excreted by kidney. So they had a problem where if a patient had renal insufficiency or if they had renal failure, you could not give tetracycline with it. You still cannot. But doxycycline and minocycline get excreted by gut. Okay? They get excreted in feces. So they do not have the same problem. You can give it even in renal insufficiency. So tetracycline gets excreted by kidneys, avoid in renal failure or renal insufficiency. Okay. Doxy and minocycline get excreted by gut, can be given in renal failure. Renal failure or what do you call renal insufficiency, where your kidneys are not working properly. As such, any drug which can be nephrotoxic should be avoided in case the patient has renal failure or renal insufficiency. If it is getting excreted by kidneys and if the kidneys is not working properly, the drug will start getting accumulated in the body. Any drug for that matter, which depends on or which get excreted by your kidneys. Okay. One disadvantage or one what do you call problem with tetracyclines as such, because they are broad spectrum antibiotics, there is a problem of this thing, super infections occurring, especially by C. difficile and Pseudomonas. Super infection क्या है? एक infection होने के बाद, let's suppose a patient has, let's suppose patient number 1 है, उनके अंदर infection A हुआ, for which you use tetracyclines. ठीक है, broad spectrum antibiotics. Because of broad spectrum antibiotics, what will happen is the commensals that are present in your intestinal flora basically, that will also get damaged. Okay, because these are broad spectrum, all the bacteria, good bacteria that are present in your body will also get damaged. Hence, what will happen is, now that good bacteria is helpful in suppressing some bacteria. They will kill some other pathogenic bacteria. In such a condition, what will happen is when you give tetracyclines, those commensals and that intestinal flora will die, because of which infection number B can come and infect you and it will cause damage. Okay? That B is normally not able to infect you as such. That is because your intestinal flora is preventing it from doing so, or it is decreasing the incidence of B causing that bacteria B causing infection. यहाँ पर because you are giving tetracycline, it is suppressing the commensals. It is killing the commensals or it is suppressing intestinal flora, because of which B can occur. This combination where one infection is occurring after the other infection, That is called superinfections. Superinfection is common in case of tetracyclines. Okay, so we'll conclude our class